Right now we're gonna take a look at this really cool piece of equipment that I acquired for this project, and this is mostly just to core down a very thick slab of concrete that had multiple layers of concrete built on top of each other because of a project I was doing. But I wanted to core it out so that I can plant some stuff down there for fun, and it's a good excuse to get a chance to use a fun piece of machinery like this. This is a Shibuya core drill. The model is let me check real quick. The TS-405 right there. You see that label? And it's a Japanese piece of equipment. It's a very powerful piece of machinery, and just looking at it, you know, the anatomy of it, you got the motor, you got the shaft connector right there, obviously the drill bit. These things use a threaded 1 1/4 inch diameter size. So the shaft is 1 1/4 inch in diameter, and it's a pretty standard industrial sizing for the bits that are over 2 inches. I think the only one that uses a different proprietary connection is the Hilti brand, and that's a whole different ballpark right there. But if you're using the standard equipment, they should all fit in here. You got this part is called the carriage block. It's essentially allows you to move the drill up and down using the crank right here, the crank handle, and the base. The base is extremely important because this thing generates a lot of torque and vibration when it's drilling. So the most important thing is actually, so far from my two holes that I core out, the lesson I've learned is that the most important thing is getting the base stable and bolted down very securely. Ideally, you want it to be as level as possible as well, but that depends on the project you're doing. The base is kind of interesting because, well, this particular model, the carriage block, it has a little angle change gear, or like a little shaft that rotate there, so you can change the degree of the drill bit, or how you want it to go in. But for me, I'm gonna just leave it straight, so it's set at a 90. There's a little slot here for you to bolt this down. This is you have to bolt this base down here very nice and securely. Once you bolt it down a little bit, what you want to do is level and tighten these. Well, I wouldn't want to say. I'm not gonna say tighten. What you do is you're leveling the base with these 4 nuts right here. So what happens is when you thread them in, they go down below the base and they push against the concrete, which of course pushes up against the bolt that's locking it down, and that allows you to tighten the base and gives it a nice good balance. And you got to make sure that all 4 of these bolts are screwed down nice and balanced, because if you're just relying on the center bolt here to hold it, this thing's gonna go bad. And the moment it wiggles and gets loose, going back in again is a whole different, it's a nightmare. I've had that problem where like it got loose and then trying to go down, it just keeps getting jammed and stuck and shutting off. It was really annoying. So preparation is the most important thing when it comes to getting this thing secure, so that you can have a trouble-free drill process. It might take you 15 minutes, 20 minutes to go down like 10, 12 inches, but it's worth the trouble to take your time and secure it. So that's really important. The water feed right here, I've already connected to my water hose using a variety of adapters because I don't have anything straight for it. So whatever, as long as it works, right? If we're looking at the motor here, so this is the carriage block, and it's made for the H2221, H2231. That basically is the model for the motor. So this motor is it's a very powerful motor. Check this out. So this motor is a H2231, and it is rated at 30 amp. You see that? 30 amp at 110 to 120 volt. These motors come in 220 volt as well. So this one particular model is, I guess, it's spec for North America, and it runs at 110 to 120 volt at 30 amp, which is very high. Most of us can only have 20 amp at that voltage. And the great thing is that this thing has 3 different speeds. So you got the 300 RPM, 700 RPM, and 1400 RPM. Look at that. And let me see. And it says max diameter for the core bit is 400 millimeter. So every 100 millimeter is about 4 inch. So you're looking at 16 inch max. So this is only 9. You can get something way bigger than this. It has a 3-speed adjustment right here. So you got low, medium, high. The speed adjustment works a little bit odd. So let me show you how it works. Let me see. The gear, it doesn't just adjust that easily. You have to kind of wiggle the. Let me see if it. Okay, so right now I'm at medium speed, but if I wanted to go down to low speed, you got to pull out this pin, push it down, but it doesn't work. Oh, well, in this case it works. No, but see, it doesn't go inside the slot right there. So what you do is you just push it down and then. Hold on, let me crank this thing up a little bit. See, I gotta crank up the. Oh no. All right. So gotta rotate the bit just a little bit, and then it loosens it up, and then it allows you to. You know what? This is not gonna work. Okay, here we go. Oh, this is not. See, I'm doing something wrong because normally you would think you can just do push it up and down, but nope. Hold on, let me bring up the. There we go. Gotta bring this up a little bit so it'll be easier. Okay. See the struggle I have right there? See, you can slide it up and down, but it has to go inside this little slot right here. So you gotta rotate it, I believe. Or is it this way? Yeah, there we go. So I rotate it clockwise, and now I'm able to let this thing go in. And then if I wanted to adjust it back up, I gotta bring it out, spin it. There you go. Loosen up the gear a little bit, and bring it up and down. Yep, there you go. So I'm gonna put it back in the medium. But you see, it's one of those things where you kind of just have to play around with it because you're not gonna be able to get it right the first time. Even right now, it's a lot of work to adjust it. All right, it's snapping, so that's that. It's kind of weird. But for me, with this drill bit size and the power I'm feeding, which is only 20 amp, I could spin it at high speed, but I feel like it's gonna draw too much and probably causes more issues. So I put it at medium. It's been able to drill pretty nicely anyways. All right, so now that you kind of see this thing already, oh, the cool thing is that the handle right here, you can adjust and bring it here too if you wanted to use this side to crank. It doesn't, it's a reversible, so it's really useful. Okay, so now I got that right. I've decided this is where I'm gonna drill the hole, and then I'm gonna set it up right now. I'm gonna bolt everything, and we're gonna see that it's a lot of work just to set the thing up. Let me see. All right. So I'm gonna position it in the spot that I want, avoiding the pipes right here since I already know where the pipe's going. I'm gonna move it over here a little bit, actually. Yeah, so I'm gonna core out this side. The pool is gonna have like what, 8-10 inches of the wall thickness, so we're going down to about what, this is about 15 inch, so we're avoiding the wall of the pool, which is good, and that's what we really want. I think I previously drilled a hole here already. Let me see if I can find it. But the drill for the hole, there's a lot of ways you can do that. You can just do a little mark first and then take this out and drill it, but my drill bit is thick enough or long enough. This happens to be an SDS Max, and it's ½ inch. So I'm gonna go down here And let me see if I can find, because if I already have the hole, I don't need it, because I already kind of drill one. And anyways, you know, I'm just gonna drill one for fun. All right. Well, I don't think this is fun, but it kind of is in a way, to be honest. I'm gonna bring it up, kind of clear the handle a little bit so my drill can fit. I'm gonna put my feet on the back here, that way. And then what I'll do is I'm just gonna drill a hole right here, right in the middle. So when it comes to anchoring, see how heavy this thing is? I gotta hold on to it, otherwise it's gonna fall inside the pool. When it comes to anchoring the base down, I'm pretty sure that they have like this official plate that goes over like a square washer that's really thick, or you can just go buy one at Home Depot, but who cares? You just need a little washer, so I'm gonna use whatever I have around the house. But let me show you the option for bolting it down. This is kind of interesting in itself. There's all kind of different things you can do. So the hole that I drew is 1.5 inch, right? I mean half an inch. And I've gotten two methods of bolting this down, and they both work. One works better at the beginning, one works better afterwards. So so there's two things. This is a very basic anchor bolt. It's designed to go into the concrete because of look at the spiral thread right here. It goes into the concrete. If you drill 1/2 inch, you can bolt this in, and this will just go in like this nicely. So you know, whatever the hole that you drill, as long as it's there, you'll be fine. And what I did was use a few washers, and I just had a corner angle piece of metal right here, also acting like a washer. So basically I'm just distributing the pressure applied to the base here all into a larger area so it doesn't damage it. So that's one option, right? So when you first drill down the anchor hole, these bolts work really well because it's nice and tight. But as you're drilling, the vibration and the torque from the machine, it's gonna slowly loosen this, right? So if you do this and you set it correctly, you use this one time, bolt it down really tight, and it should go fine for that one hole. But if you take it out and come back in again, it's gonna loosen up. So it's not great for reusing. So this is good for the first time. And then since you already have that hole drill, what you can do is, this is a 1/2 inch drop-in internally threaded anchor. So it's an anchor that you drop in, and there's threads on the inside, and this thing expands. So when you drop it in, you pound this little pin in here, and it expands right here, and it expands against the wall of that hole, and it's not going to go anywhere. And you thread it in using a 1/2 inch bolt like this. This way, this will anchor down there too. And the only problem is that once the anchor's down there, you can't take it out. Just the way it is. But what I do is, if I need to go back in the same hole, if I messed up, I use this one because it's pretty secure. But now, since it's a fresh hole, I'm just gonna use the standard 6-inch anchor bolt. Just gonna go straight down. It's a lot easier for me. All right, so enough talking about that. Let's go in and check this sucker out. I just gotta find where I drilled that hole. I'm pretty sure it should be here somewhere. I think I might have moved it. I don't see it. I think that's the spot right there. All right, so I got that. Yeah, I think that's the spot. All right, it's fitted. So I'm gonna go and bring it down a little bit, and then what I'll do is, let's see. I want to adjust this a little bit. I want to move this one over here a little bit more. There we go. I just want to avoid any chance of hitting pipes. Okay, let's see where my tools are at. Yeah, so this thing, most of the anchor bolts, the hex top right here, it's gonna be about 19 millimeters. So a 19 millimeter socket is gonna work. All right, so I'm down a little bit. Oh, I forgot. You know what? One of my favorite things to do is aligning it correctly. So getting it to be level is really important. This is a little bubble right here. It's like a level. It's meant to center. It's a center level. So if you set it correctly, the little bubble gets right inside the two rings, and then that's when you know it's center. So I'm gonna leave it here. This gives me an idea. Obviously, it doesn't have to be perfect, but ideally, we want it to be as center as possible, so it has the best holding and least amount of wobble. Okay, so it looks like it's off a little bit. So we're gonna bring this thing up. So we want to lean it that way a little bit more. Okay, so since it doesn't have to be perfect, and I don't care about it even perfect, because once we secure it, what we really want is twist the leveling nut right here. We're gonna twist it in clockwise to by hand first. See that? So now all four sides right here, all corners are nice and level. This is the most important step I've learned, actually. This is by far the most important step. Okay, so I got this right here, right? These are kind of interesting nuts. The threads are not standard. I'm not even sure. I mean, it's Japanese, so I'm pretty sure it's metric. But I tried to find replacement nuts at Home Depot, but I could not. It wouldn't go in. The reason why is because I wanted something a little bit longer, since my area here is very wobbly. So these like 2-inch or 2.5 inch doesn't always fit. Okay, so we got that tightened by hand, and then these hex right here, they're 21 millimeters, so I'm gonna use the wrench by hand to tighten it first. See, so as we're tightening it, this is also something that you just see when you work with this stuff. When you tighten it, it pushes against the concrete, and so it kind of moves ever so slightly, like a millimeter, half a millimeter. But that movement, in turn, if you're redoing this again, meaning you're securing it the second time, and because you have to take out or something, this thing got stuck, well, that little bit of movement will cause this thing to jam against the hole, and it's a whole nightmare right there. You don't want to go through that, so do this right the first time. Secure this stuff by hand, and see, because when you're above, you're fine. You can wiggle around all you want, it doesn't really matter. But man, when that thing is on the bottom, and 9 inch of surface area on that core bit, it's gonna cause a lot of friction. So avoiding all that, if you happen to rent this thing for a day or two at Home Depot, you could be struggling the whole afternoon trying to core through if you got stuck. So doing this right the first time is gonna save you a lot of headache. Luckily, I did not rent this at Home Depot, so I don't have to worry about it, and I can take my time. And since this is my first time using it, I've made a few mistakes, but I'm trying to learn. All right, so I bolted that by hand, secure to a certain extent, and then I'm gonna continue tightening this thing. Okay, so that's pretty nice and tight. So with that impact wrench, see that? Once I tighten this thing down, these bolts need to be tightened again because it's a little bit loose. Yeah, so see that when you shake it, this thing, see, it still kind of shakes a little bit. And we want to avoid all of that. Trust me, this thing generates a lot of torque. All right, going through. That one's nice. Okay, I'm gonna do this one again. Once you feel enough resistance by hand, I mean that's enough, because these bolts will lock into the anchors, I mean into the concrete itself a little bit, because it goes down, kind of breaks a little bit at the tip, but then it really gets down there. All right, so that's good right there. Okay, so nice and secure. I see that is nice and secure right now. Sometimes these bolts get loose too, so it kind of rotates on this block right here, and we want to tighten that. So make sure that gets tightened. A little bit loose right here changes the angle of the drill bit, and it gets stuck and it gets jammed. But the good thing about this motor is when it detects a jam, it shuts off, so you don't risk burning anything. It shuts off, or it trips the breaker, and because it overloads, and just reset it again. Okay. Ah, crap. So that is the setup. The base nice and secure. The drill bit not completely level, but enough for my purpose. The speed is set to medium. The water feed line is on. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna let me get the plug out of the water area before it does anything stupid. Okay, so the plug is right there, and what I'll do is I'm gonna send water in. I'm gonna leave this camera right here, and we're just gonna watch how it works. It's a very, very slow process. Very slow process. All right, so I got the camera set on here. I'm gonna go and plug it in and let the water flow through real quick right now. All right, so we got the water flowing, and let's plug this thing in and play around with this. All right, so the most important thing is actually securing the base, like I mentioned a couple of times, right? And you only want to do this one time. You don't want to take it out and go back in. Don't take it out and go back in, because you're just inviting a lot of trouble by doing that. So let's clear the surface area first. Okay, so see the water's flowing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just turn it on and just let it go slowly down first. Anytime you feel a little bit of resistance, lift up the handle, back it up a little bit, and just let it go down. The weight of this particular handle with the two knobs at the end right here actually brings it down slowly, so that's actually a really good speed to just let it do its thing. All right, so I'm gonna turn on right now. It's gonna get a little bit loud. Okay, so when it first starts, what I do is I hold on to the handle, just let it make that nice circle first. Go back up if you need to, and down, so that you want to create little resistance so that it goes in. Once the teeth are under the concrete, then you just let it work. All right, I'm gonna turn it back on again. Okay, so this is almost like a pre-drill thing, but you see how the concrete pad itself is not level, right? So that end got cut first, but we went in. The hole looks nice and circular. The water is flowing nicely. So now we're gonna just let it go down. I think this stage you might want to keep an eye on the handle. Bring it back up if you need to, because you don't want it to get jammed. And then periodically double check here, make sure that the base is secure. What I do is after a few minutes of drilling, I actually tighten everything again to make sure, because the vibration does loosen it. So we want to make sure that this thing never goes anywhere. Trust me, the vibration on something like this with all this torque, see, I bet you this thing's gonna be a little bit loose just from that. Okay, so tight. Okay, nice and tight. Okay. Nice and tight. Oh, see, this one's loose, so Good thing, see, I'm double checking. All right, so I'm kind of tighten this thing up a little bit. This bolt here was definitely loose. The thing is, what happens is when it's drilling and vibrating, the bolt actually eats into the concrete and it kind of breaks the concrete around it a little bit, so it doesn't stay secure because it's not threading, it's just on top pinning on it. All right, we're gonna go back again. All right, so this part I'm probably not gonna be able to say anything because it's really loud. I'm actually gonna bring the camera on this side so you can kind of see how it naturally just goes down. Keep an eye on this little handle right here. I'm not applying any pressure because I want it to go nice and slow and be safe. Notice how I just made some adjustment to the bolt earlier because it did get a little bit loose. So if you're not mindful of that, that's where the trouble comes in. All right, so when I'm going down to a certain depth, I want to make sure that I can clearly bring it back up and down. And at this point, we got about 3 inches already, so that's not bad. This thing's gonna be really thick though, so I'm gonna go all the way down, maybe up to here. Because last time what happened was I went down to this area part here and I thought I got everything. Turns out the slab on top broke from the bottom slab, so I couldn't take the whole thing out. And I went back in and I took hours and hours trying to get the last piece, but it didn't work because the placement was all off. So if it's just off by a little bit, the friction will cause it to jam. Anyways, when you're working with this piece of equipment, it gets really loud, and normally I wear the earmuffs, but in being able to listen to it as it's grinding away, you can kind of detect how things are going. So if you're wearing the ear mufflers or those earmuffs, the one that you shove in your ears, you can't hear what's going on. Sometimes you will get into problems. So as loud as it is, to be able to hear and see the problem is a lot better. All right, so now we're gonna go back down and I'm gonna apply a little bit more force by just resting my hand on the handle. I'm not gonna jam it down. I'm just gonna not push it. I'm just gonna let the weight of my arm bring it down slowly and kind of assist, okay? All right, here we go. Okay, so we went down far and I started hitting mud because the mud started coming out here. So I'm guessing that's almost it. I'm gonna go down just a little bit more so that we clear everything, and then I'm gonna yank it back up. Good thing is, since this thing is sturdy, the base is sturdy, it's easy to go back up and down. This is by far the easiest hole I've cored out of the 3 I've done so far because of the lessons learned. So whatever you do, don't take it out as you're doing it, just one shot, okay? If you can shake this with your hand and it's loose, then you've not tightened it enough. You've got to get the base so tight that you cannot shake it with your hand. Because if you can shake it with your hand, this machine is 100 times stronger than you, so it's not gonna help. So make sure it's nice and secure, okay? All right, so I'm just gonna go down a little bit and then I'm gonna bring it back up and take it out, see if it's that easy. Okay, so it's starting to get muddy. I'm gonna shut it off now. So the mud came out. That means it went all the way down, and the sound it was making is different. So it's not like it's grinding concrete. All right, we're gonna shut off the water down here, and we're gonna take this thing out. That was an interesting process, but that was by far the easiest. So easy. All right, here we go. Bring it back up. See, when the base is straight and nothing's like out of angle, you just crank this thing up and it comes up super easy. This is one of those things where I cannot emphasize enough. This is a one shot, one kill kind of deal. You're doing it right the first time, you save yourself a lot of time and energy and frustration. Oh, see? Oh, I dropped that thing. All right. So I think the piece of concrete is still inside the drill bit right now. I think. Or not. Yeah, I think it's inside the drill bit. See, it took it all the way up. But now I gotta see how I can dislodge it. Maybe rotate it? Wow, look how deep that hole is. Okay, that took a while, but it came out in two pieces. So that was the bottom layer, the coping right there, and then that's the one I built on top. So together, got a good 8-9 inches of concrete right there. That's a lot, but it worked. That was easy. Well, easier because of all the mistakes that was made. So right now we got just mud down there, and then we'll be able to plant some stuff there. We just gotta clear it out, and then we can plant stuff down there. Looks nice. That is a cool machine. All right, so that took all morning for me to core one hole, and I got a bunch of them to do. So I'm glad that I was able to get this thing done now. So once you learn how to set it up correctly, you shouldn't have any problem.